Breaking Liverpool news. Darwin Nunez's FA Cup story, January transfer bombs and injury chaos. Subscribe now for daily Liverpool updates. I scouted Darwin Nunez and joined Liverpool after scoring famous FA Cup goal former Liverpool and Barnsley. Striker Lee Jones speaks exclusively to the Echo ahead of Monday night's FA Cup third-round tie between his two former clubs. When Liverpool welcomed Barnsley to Anfield in the FA Cup third round on Monday night, former Wales international Lee Jones will be one of the more interested observers as two of his old club's Lockhorns. The 52-year-old spent 5 years with the Reds in the 90s, but the striker found himself behind the likes of Ian Rush, Robbie Fowler and Stan Collymore in the pecking order. Departing for Tranmere Rovers in 1997, where he'd play under Liverpool legend John Aldridge, he then spent 2 years with Barnsley at the turn of the millennium before returning to Wrexham for a fourth stint with his boyhood club, having moved to Anfield from the Welsh outfit in 1992 in the first place. Jones is looking forward to seeing Barnsley take on Liverpool, and with Wrexham already through to the FA Cup fourth round, courtesy of a penalty shootout victory over Nottingham Forest on Friday night, is already hopeful of being mixed allegiances again in the next round. Yeah, it's a really good tie, isn't it? As a football fan, everybody looks forward to the FA Cup third round, Jones said in an exclusive interview with the Echo. I think it's a really exciting tie and obviously both teams will fancy their chances on the day. It'd be nice if Wrexham actually got either Liverpool or Barnsley in the next round. Obviously, that'd be two games that have involved two former teams of mine, so they're both fixtures that I'll look out for. I would probably say I'd back Wrexham first and foremost. Obviously, Liverpool is close to my heart because I spent 5 years there, which was a large chunk of my career, but Barnsley as well. I really enjoyed my time there. I was at Tranmere when I'd finished at Liverpool, and Dave Bassett phoned me up just towards the end of my career there. He said Craig Hignett was leaving and they were looking for a replacement. At the time, they just missed out on promotion to the Premier League by getting beaten by Ipswich in the playoff final. It was a move I couldn't turn down. I had a couple of options. I just thought to myself it was an ideal opportunity to try and get back in the Premier League, but I always look out for the three scores: Wrexham, Liverpool and Barnsley, and also Tranmere Rovers, who obviously I used to play for as well. My first 12 months at Tranmere were probably the most I've enjoyed my football. And if you can't learn off a goal scorer like John Aldridge, you're never going to learn anything in football. Every day, he constantly strived for you to get better, and he took us forwards for finishing practice every single day that we were there. He was still the best finisher, even at 38 at the time. He was a fantastic player. Jones has fond memories of the FA Cup from his own playing days, having been part of the Wrexham side that famously knocked out First Division champions Arsenal in 1992 before scoring in the next round against West Ham United. Joining Liverpool in a £300,000 deal only a few months later, Jones believes such occasions ultimately opened the door to his move to Anfield. "I've got a couple of highlights in the FA Cup," he recalled. "I was involved at Wrexham when we beat Arsenal in 1992. We were bottom of the English pyramid, 92nd in the Football League, and Arsenal were the current champions, and we beat them 2-1 at the racecourse. And then in the following game, I came on sub for Wrexham against West Ham and scored to equalise at 2-2. Unfortunately, we got beat 1-0 in the replay. But yeah, I've got some good memories. I got the move to Liverpool based on the FA Cup goal against West Ham, I think. Graeme Souness came to watch me about 3 or 4 weeks later, playing for Wrexham, and then ended up signing me. I believe our game against West Ham was in January. And then I ended up signing in the March at Liverpool. So I must have done something quite well in between to get the move to Liverpool. An absolutely fantastic club, played for some fantastic coaches and with some unbelievable players as well. It was a surreal moment to join Liverpool. We were on a day off. I played on the Tuesday and scored. And then on a Wednesday, I was at my girlfriend's house in the evening. My mum phoned and said, could I get home ASAP? And then I remember walking back around 5 in the evening and the chairman's car was parked outside my house. And no one ever really spoke to the chairman. I walked in and the manager and the chairman were both there. They said to me, Liverpool want to sign you, we're not going to push you out, you don't have to go, but it would help us financially hugely if you did. We are under a little bit of stress in terms of finances, and I just felt they were obviously one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest clubs in the world. I couldn't say no to Liverpool, and it was a sort of byproduct of helping Wrexham financially as well and giving me my chance in football. Jones has enjoyed a varied career since hanging up his playing boots in 2013. He joined Altrincham as assistant manager last October, having previously held the same role at Wealdstone, but prior to that, he had enjoyed stints in charge of Tranmere Rovers Academy, as well as scouting positions with Burnley and Middlesbrough. But coaching is always what he wanted to do. And while National League North side Macclesfield made the biggest headlines in the FA Cup third round this weekend, knocking out holders Crystal Palace, he is eyeing a push for the National League playoffs with Altrincham next season ahead of any domestic cup romance of their own. I'm really enjoying it. I spent around 6 months as assistant manager at Wealdstone with Neil Gibson, he said. And then we got the opportunity to go and Altrincham them as interim manager and assistant manager. We picked up, I think, it was 4 wins and a draw in our first 6 games, and then took the job permanently. Our contracts are for another 18 months. We're just trying to change a few things around at the club at the moment in terms of players in and out. So hopefully we'll get it right and we can have a push on for the playoffs next season. He continued, my post-playing career has been fantastic. I've always wanted to stay in football. Coaching was always something that I wanted to stay in. When I retired, I set myself a target to become a pro license holder in the first 5 years. I accomplished that around 2012, so I've always been a pro license holder since then. Liverpool dream January transfer window as marquee forward snapped up and Marc Guehi signs with 3 weeks to go until the transfer window closes. The Echo takes a look at what a dream January could look like for Liverpool, with 3 weeks to go until the January transfer window closes. Liverpool have enjoyed a quiet month to date. The Reds have added more Tala Ndiaye and Noah Adekoya to their academy ranks and sold James Noyes to Shelbourne, while James McCarnell, Owen Beck and James Balagizi have been recalled from loan stints away. Beyond that, despite plenty of speculation, there has not been anything of note, which is what Liverpool were anticipating. But with Conor Bradley having now been ruled out for the season with a significant knee injury, adding to Arne Slot's selection issues, it remains to be seen if that stance will change during the final 21 days of the mid-season transfer window. The Reds were already without Giovanni Leoni for the campaign after he underwent surgery on an ACL injury suffered on his debut back in September, while Alexander Isak is also a long-term absentee after he fractured his leg in last month's win over Tottenham Hotspur. Liverpool have been without Hugo Ekitike and Wadaru Endo because of injuries of their own in recent weeks, though the pair are closing in on returns, while Mohamed Salah is also due back next week following the conclusion of the Africa Cup of Nations. But even once the trio are available for selection again, Slot's options will remain stretched. And with the January transfer window currently open, it is easy to theorise that it could offer possible solutions. Admittedly, the Reds' hands are currently tied, having selected the full quota of 17 overseas players in both their Premier League and Champions League squads. As a result, they are currently only able to add homegrown players to their ranks without selling or dropping any of their foreign stars. They do remain interested in Marc Guehi ahead of his contract expiring at the end of the season, though. Having seen Crystal Palace block a £35 million move for the England international at the 11th hour on deadline day back in the summer. While Guehi had been expected to see out the season at Selhurst Park before having his pick of the clubs on a Bosman transfer at the end of the campaign, Bradley's injury could see Liverpool attempt to bring forward their transfer plans and test such a resolve. With there still being plenty of time for the Reds to conduct any business if they so desired, the Echo takes a look at what a dream transfer window could look like for the club over the next 3 weeks. Sign Marc Guehi, an easy place to start. The Reds have been short on players defensively since Leonie's ACL injury, with Bradley's own serious knee issue only reiterating such a shortage. While Guehi is a centre-back rather than right-back, his presence would at least provide a further option at the heart of the back line and free up Joe Gomez, who has been prone to injury himself, to cover Bradley's absence at right-back. The Palace captain would already be a Liverpool player had his current club not had a late change of heart in the summer after failing to sign a replacement. With a £35 million deal initially agreed, recent reports suggest it could cost more to Law. Guehi away from the Eagles this month, with Manchester City said to be weighing up their own move in response to multiple injuries at centre-back. While in an ideal world you would just wait and sign Guehi on a free transfer in the summer, he would at least help solve Liverpool's defensive shortage if they brought forward such plans, sign a forward, and sell Federico Chiesa. Reds had been heavily linked with Antoine Semenyo, but ultimately never made a move for the Ghana international prior to his switch from AFC Bournemouth to Man City. Like Guehi, he would have been classed as homegrown, so would have been able to be added to Liverpool's ranks without the need for any senior departures. While the Reds did not rival City for his signature, such speculation did highlight how Liverpool had perhaps left themselves short in their attacking ranks after selling Luis Diaz to Bayern Munich in the summer. Their position has not been aided by Isak's fractured leg, even if Ekitike and Salah will soon be options again once more, yet YNWA's opportunities have remained limited as Slot continues to manage the teenager carefully, while Federico Kiesa continues to be limited to a bit-part role. With Juventus reportedly interested in re-signing the forward, a mid-season departure would at least give Liverpool the scope to add a player more fancied by Slot to their attacking ranks and without being limited to said option having to fill their homegrown quota too. The likes of Bradley Barcola, Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr., and Michael Elise are marquee names that have all been linked to the Reds in recent months, seeing as we're theorising what a dream transfer window might look like, however unlikely such a signing mid-January might currently be. Let us just pretend that the arrival of one of the quartet would not be limited to a football manager save. Recall Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott's loan move to Aston Villa has not worked out. He has made only 5 appearances, and Unai Emery has already made it perfectly clear that the villains will not be signing the midfielder permanently. Consequently, he remains in limbo, frozen out at Villa Park, having not made an appearance since the start of October and failed to make a Premier League matchday squad since a mid-October win over Tottenham Hotspur. With Villa required to sign the 22-year-old in a £35 million deal if he makes 10 appearances for the club, his fortunes will not improve if he stays put. Liverpool do not have a recall option for Elliott, meaning Villa will have to open talks if they wish to send the midfielder back to Anfield. However, they would likely have to pay financial penalties to do so, something they would rather avoid, given their reluctance to spend £35 million on the loanee is in part due to their efforts to comply with PSR, having featured for the Reds against Newcastle United prior to his loan move to Villa. Elliott is also unable to join a different European side in January due to FIFA regulations, but is the best solution for him not to just rejoin Liverpool's ranks for the second half of the season? Yes, he was limited to a bit-part role under Slot last season and would likely remain a squad player, but such a scenario is still a better option than the plight he currently finds himself in at Villa Park. Given Liverpool's stretched options, there would still be a role for him to play, and as he is homegrown, there is already space in the Reds squad for him. Back at Anfield, Liverpool at least have greater control over his future and transfer value once more, even if it still leads to an exit in the summer. Trio handed new contracts while we're at it. Let's look beyond transfer business too. Ibrahima Konate remains out of contract at the end of the season, and speculation about his future has been a distraction amid inconsistent form from the Frenchman. 13 players could miss Liverpool versus Barnsley after Conor Bradley and Hugo Ekitike. Updatus: Liverpool faces Barnsley in the third round of the FA Cup at Anfield later, with both sides set to be without some key players after another injury setback for the Reds. Liverpool and Barnsley could be without a number of key players as they do battle in the third round of the FA Cup later at Anfield. The Reds begin the road to Wembley as they look to avoid the same fate as some of their Premier League rivals, with the likes of Manchester United, Everton and Crystal Palace having already fallen at the first hurdle. Arne Slot seems keen to not suffer another cup shock after being embarrassed by Plymouth last season, with the Liverpool boss hinting that he will name a strong side. Although we can probably still expect plenty of changes, the Reds will be limited by a number of key absences though, with Conor Bradley the latest name to be added to the injury list. The right back will miss the rest of the season with what the club has described as a significant knee injury. With surgery set to follow in the coming days, he joins Alexander Isak and Giovanni Leoni on the sidelines, while youngsters Jadon Dans and Stefan Bajcetic also remain out. James McArdle could have been in contention to feature after returning from his loan at Ajax. Although the midfielder is thought to be nursing an injury, Slot has revealed Hugo Ekitike could return after missing the last 2 games against Fulham and Arsenal. Although there might not be much sense in risking the striker with some important Premier League and Champions League games coming up, YNWA is expected to return to training in the coming days, although today's game will come too soon for him. While Mohamed Salah is still away at the Africa Cup of Nations, and won't now return until next week's game against Marseille at the earliest after Egypt reach the semi-finals. As for the visitors, Barnsley will be without club captain Conor, with the midfielder serving a 3-match ban after being sent off against Wigan on New Year's Day. Left-back Nathaniel Ogbada has returned to training, although he could still be a doubt for today's game, having not played since a 1-1 draw with Stockport on November 29. Meanwhile, defenders Marc and Georgie Gent have both been described as touch and go by Tykes boss Conor. Barnsley sits 17th in League One, just a couple of points off the relegation zone. But the Yorkshire club will be hoping to put their league struggles behind them as they go in search of a major upset at Anfield. We're really excited to be able to test ourselves against one of the best teams in the world. We expect a really tough occasion, of course, but one that the lads need to be ready for and fully prepared for, Hurahani said. It's difficult to know what personnel will be out there. Are the big boys going to play, or will they go a little bit weaker? Either way, we need to be ready and have a game plan. I want the lads to maximise the opportunity and express themselves. Liverpool star says yes to January transfer. A star has opened the door to leaving the club and talks have already begun over what could be a surprise deal. Let's be honest, Liverpool cannot afford to lose anyone right now. They are already losing enough players through injury and suspension. Selling or loaning players who are part of Slot's first team squad simply doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. However, sometimes not everything is in the club's control. There will be players who will get offers they simply can't refuse, and if a player's head is turned, there's not much you can do. The only way Liverpool can address it is if they enter the market themselves. But the question over that would be whether the players Liverpool want to sign would be available in the January window. Liverpool's depth is especially short of options in attack. The club has had to weather the storm without Mo Salah, Alexander Isak and even Hugo Ekitike in recent weeks. There's no surprise that during this run Liverpool have struggled to score goals. Ultimately, Liverpool will be eager for their key stars to return. At the same time, they will also be reluctant for anyone else to leave the club. Even Federico Kiesa, who has had a peripheral role in the squad ever since he joined, but who remains an important part of Slot's plans. It would be a surprise for Kiesa to leave Liverpool, especially on a permanent deal in January. But surprises are always possible, and it seems like Liverpool are beginning talks over what could be a very shocking deal from the club's perspective. Nicolo Skyra reports that Federico Kiesa has given his availability to join Juventus this month and that the Italian is ready to return to Turin. According to his report, Juventus have proposed a loan deal, but Liverpool want a permanent deal. Skyra claims that the club will begin talks next week with Giorgio Chiellini and Luciano Spalletti pushing for the Italian's return to Juventus, considering Kiesa has become a fan favourite at Anfield. This would be devastating news for many Liverpool fans. At the same time, it would also raise massive concerns over the club's options for the rest of the season. It would leave Slot with just Ekitike, Salah, Cody Gakpo as the recognised senior attackers in the team, until Isak comes back from his injury towards the end of the season. Of course, Jeremy Frimpong could cover the right wing and YNWA the left wing, but it still leaves Liverpool with little options. Selling Kiesa would be a surprise deal, but at this stage, it's one that looks like a possibility. Owen Cooper's four-word tribute to Liverpool FC at Golden Globes as he makes history. Adolescent star Owen Cooper has made Golden Globe history, becoming the youngest person ever to win Best Supporting Male Actor Television Prize at just 16 years old. Owen Cooper confessed it was mad to make history as he bagged a Golden Globe award for adolescence. The 16-year-old actor became the youngest ever recipient of the Best Supporting Male Actor Television Award at Sunday's ceremony, and then reflecting on the incredible journey that led him to the stage at Los Angeles Beverly Hilton Hotel. He also couldn't resist paying a tribute to his beloved Liverpool, FC, after triumphing over his CO star Ashley Walters, Billy Crudup, The Morning Show, Walton Goggins and Jason Isaacs from The White Lotus, and Trammell Tellman Severance, Owen picked up his award and addressed the audience. He said, "Standing here at the Golden Globes, wow, it does not feel real whatsoever. What an incredible journey me and my family have been put through. We are forever grateful. What started off as something I thought I might be okay at. I might be awful. I took a risk and went to drama classes. I was the only boy there. It was embarrassing. But I got through it, and I'm still very much an apprentice, still learning every day from the people in front of me who inspired me. I wouldn't be here without you guys. It's mad. What is going on?" Owen then extended his gratitude to those involved with adolescence before concluding with an inspiring message and a shout-out to his favourite football club, Liverpool FC. He declared, "Bring on 2026. You'll never walk alone." Later that evening, Owen's adolescent CO star Erin Doherty was left shocked after scooping the Best Supporting Female Actor Television Award, beating The White Lotus stars Carrie Coon, Parker Posey and Aimi Wood. Alongside Hannah Einbinder Hacks and Catherine O'Hara the studio, Erin continued by thanking Owen, fellow cast members Stephen Graham and Hannah Walters, and director Phil Barantini, saying each of you lives in every breath in that scene. Before dedicating her trophy to therapists, she added, "Life can be tough. Mental health is everything. So thank you to therapists. And it was an honor to play one." Black comedy thriller film One Battle After Another and Adolescence were the big winners at Sunday's Golden Globe Awards. Adolescence scooped Best Limited Series, Anthology Series or Television Motion Picture, and stars Stephen Graham, Owen Cooper and Erin Doherty bagged acting honours, taking Best Male Actor in a Limited Series, Anthology Series or a Motion Picture made for television, Best Supporting Male Actor and Best Supporting Female Actor, respectively. The studio had a double win, with Seth Rogen named Best Male Actor Comedy or Musical and the show also taking Best Musical or Comedy Series.